Night has a particular effect on the human mind. Thoughts that remain quiet during the day often surface after dark. Memories become vivid. Questions feel heavier. The future appears closer and the past more personal. For many people, this experience is unsettling. It is often described as restlessness, racing thoughts, or an inability to switch off. But nighttime thinking is not a malfunction of rest. It is a predictable cognitive state that emerges when the conditions of the day dissolve. This episode explores why the mind becomes louder at night, not as a problem to solve, but as a phenomenon to understand. There will be no techniques offered here, no strategies for stopping thought, no instructions for sleep. The aim is explanation, not intervention, because understanding changes how experience is interpreted, and interpretation often determines whether the mind resists or settles. The night as a cognitive environment. Most discussions of thinking treat the mind as if it operates independently of context. But cognition is always shaped by environment. Daytime thinking is structured by light, movement, social presence, obligation, time pressure. Night removes many of these influences at once. Darkness reduces visual orientation. Stillness removes physical cues. Silence limits external feedback. What remains is internal activity. This shift does not mean the mind is doing more. It means the mind is doing something different. Night is not the absence of cognition. It is a change in cognitive ecology. Why nighttime thoughts feel different. Thoughts at night are often described as louder, more emotional, more urgent, more personal. This does not occur because the thoughts themselves are different. It occurs because the conditions under which they appear have changed. During the day, thoughts are tested against reality continuously. They are interrupted, corrected, or dismissed by action. At night, thought exists in relative isolation. Isolation amplifies perception. A single sound in a quiet room feels louder than the same sound in a crowded space. A single thought in mental silence feels heavier than it does amid distraction. The misunderstanding of overthinking. The word overthinking suggests excess, too many thoughts, too much analysis, too much attention. But nighttime thinking is rarely excessive in quantity. What changes is contrast. When nothing else is present, what remains feels dominant. The mind is not thinking more. It is being heard more clearly. A different relationship to attention. This episode does not ask you to maintain focus. You do not need to listen closely. You do not need to remember what is said. Attention can drift, thoughts can come and go. If sleep arrives, it is welcome. The material is designed to remain coherent even when partially heard, because nighttime cognition itself is partial, fluid, and non-linear. This is not a lecture to complete. It is a landscape to move through. What this episode will explore. Over the course of this discussion, we will look at how the brain shifts into a different mode at night, why attention becomes unanchored, how memory behaves when structure fades, why emotions attach more strongly to thought after dark, the evolutionary roots of nighttime vigilance, why urgency is an illusion in low-context states, how thoughts can pass without participation, and finally, why nighttime thinking is a temporary state, not a message, warning, or demand. A final orientation. Nothing needs to be resolved tonight. Thoughts that arise do not need answers. Questions do not need conclusions. The mind has its own rhythms. Night is one of them. With that understanding, we can begin. Chapter 1. The brain's shift into night mode. Night does not simply signal the absence of daylight. It marks a transition in how the brain organizes experience. Throughout the day, cognitive activity is shaped by constant environmental demands. Light regulates alertness, movement maintains orientation, social interaction provides feedback. As evening approaches, these regulatory inputs weaken. The circadian system, the biological timing mechanism that coordinates sleep and wakefulness, begins to reduce physiological arousal. Cortisol levels decline, melatonin secretion increases, body temperature slowly lowers. But this shift does not silence the brain. it changes which systems dominate. Executive networks responsible for planning, prioritization, and inhibition become less active. These systems are metabolically expensive and depend on alertness and external feedback to function efficiently. As their influence softens, other networks become more prominent. One of these is the default mode network, a constellation of brain regions associated with self-referential thought, memory integration, imagination, and narrative construction. During the day, default mode activity is repeatedly interrupted by task demands. At night, interruption diminishes. The result is not excess thinking, it is unstructured thinking. Thought becomes less goal-directed and more associative. Ideas connect through meaning rather than utility. Memories surface without being summoned. This transition can feel abrupt because modern life offers few intermediate states between constant engagement and rest. Historically, dusk provided a gradual cognitive descent. Firelight, shared quiet, and reduced activity allowed the mind to slow incrementally. In contrast, contemporary evenings often move directly from stimulation to darkness. The brain is still active, but the scaffolding that usually organizes thought has been removed. Cognitive softening, not cognitive failure. It is important to distinguish between cognitive softening and dysfunction. At night, the brain does not lose competence. It loses urgency. Attention becomes less narrowly focused. Inhibitory control weakens slightly. Emotional tone becomes more diffuse. These changes are not pathological, they are adaptive. The brain uses the night to disengage from immediate demands and reorient toward integration, bringing disparate experiences into a coherent internal narrative. What feels like overthinking is often unfinished organization. The mind is not accelerating, it is wandering, sensory reduction and internal amplification. As visual and auditory input decreases, internal signals become more noticeable. This phenomenon is not unique to night. It occurs whenever external stimulation drops, during solitude, stillness, or monotony. At night, however, the effect is magnified. Without sensory competition, internal imagery becomes vivid. Thoughts feel louder, memories feel closer. This is not because the thoughts themselves have changed, it is because nothing is drowning them out. In this sense, nighttime thinking is not the appearance of something new. It is the removal of distraction. Why control feels harder after dark? Executive systems rely on energy and context. Fatigue reduces both. At night, effortful control requires more resources than the brain is willing to allocate. This is why attempts to manage thought often fail in the dark. The brain is conserving energy. It is prioritizing restoration over regulation. Trying to force clarity at night is like trying to sharpen vision in low light by straining the eyes. The system is operating under different conditions. As executive structure recedes, another change becomes apparent. Attention, no longer anchored by tasks, schedules, or external cues, begins to drift. In the next chapter, we will examine what happens when attention loses its anchors and why this unmooring is responsible for much of the restlessness people experience at night. Chapter 2. Attention without anchors. Attention is not a constant beam. It is a dynamic system shaped by relevance, urgency, and environment. During the day, attention is continuously guided. Visual stimuli pull it outward. Obligations direct it forward. Social expectations keep it calibrated. At night, these anchors dissolve. There is nothing demanding attention, nothing signaling priority, nothing requiring immediate response. The attentional system remains active, but unguided. The loss of salience hierarchy. One of the brain's most important daytime functions is ranking. Which input matters most? Which thought can wait? Which sensation can be ignored? This hierarchy depends on external cues. At night, without cues, ranking collapses. Minor concerns feel as prominent as major ones. Old memories feel as immediate as recent events. Hypothetical futures feel as real as present circumstances. This flattening of salience explains why thoughts at night often feel indiscriminate. The mind is not fixating on one issue. It is moving freely among many. Attention seeks structure, even when none exists. When attention is unanchored, it attempts to create structure internally. It moves toward narrative, meaning, explanation. This is why nighttime thinking often takes the form of stories, replaying conversations, imagining outcomes, reconstructing emotional scenes. The mind is not solving problems, and it is organizing experience. But without external correction, organization remains provisional. Thoughts loop not because the mind is stuck, but because the structure remains incomplete. Why distraction fails at night. Many people attempt to distract themselves from nighttime thinking. Distraction works best when attention can be redirected toward a competing task. At night, few tasks provide sufficient pull. Screens often intensify rather than relieve mental activity because they reintroduce stimulation without restoring structure. Attention remains unanchored, now merely stimulated. The mind becomes active again, but not settled. Drifting is not dysfunction. A drifting mind is often interpreted as a failure of focus. In reality, drift is the default state of attention when no goal is present. This is not a defect. It is how attention behaves when it is free. The discomfort arises not from drift itself, but from the expectation that attention should be directed. At night, direction is unnecessary. When attention drifts freely, it naturally encounters memory. Memory does not require focus to appear. It emerges through association. In the next chapter, we will explore how memory behaves at night and why memories feel sharper, heavier, or more personal after dark. Chapter 3. The mind without tasks. During most waking hours, the mind operates under direction. There is something to complete, something to anticipate, or something to respond to. Tasks do more than organize behavior. They organize cognition. They tell the mind what matters now and what can be postponed. At night, that directive structure collapses, not gradually, but almost all at once. The day ends. Responsibilities pause, expectations withdraw. The mind is no longer being asked to do. What remains is a mode of cognition that is rarely experienced in isolation. Undirected awareness, goal-based thinking versus narrative thinking. Daytime thinking is predominantly goal-based. It is oriented toward outcomes, efficiency, and resolution. Thoughts are evaluated by usefulness. Nighttime thinking is narrative. It is concerned with meaning rather than completion. It links experiences together not to act on them, but to understand how they fit. This distinction matters. Narrative thinking does not move in straight lines. It moves through association. A memory connects to a feeling. A feeling connects to a hypothetical future. A future loops back to a past experience. This can feel like repetition, but it is not redundancy. It is integration without time pressure. Why unfinished material resurfaces. Experiences that return at night are often described as unfinished. But what is unfinished is not the event. It is the interpretation. During the day, experiences are processed quickly and partially. The mind extracts what is necessary for immediate functioning and postpones the rest. Night offers the postponed material an opportunity to surface. Conversations replay not because they went wrong, but because their emotional meaning was not fully registered. Decisions resurface not because they were incorrect, but because their implications have not yet been absorbed. The mind is not criticizing itself. It is completing its work. The absence of urgency changes cognition. Without deadlines or external consequences, thought slows. But slowness does not feel calm when it is unfamiliar. For many people, undirected time is interpreted as a problem. The mind expects to be used when it is not. Its activity feels excessive simply because it is unconstrained. This is why nighttime thinking is often mislabeled as overactivity. In reality, it is unallocated capacity. Why resolution rarely occurs at night. Nighttime cognition is not optimized for decision-making. It lacks feedback, social calibration, sensory grounding. Decisions require context. Context is thin at night. The mind may generate conclusions, but these conclusions are provisional. They feel compelling only because nothing competes with them. By morning, when context returns, many nighttime conclusions dissolve without effort. This is not regret. It is recalibration. When the mind is free from tasks, it naturally turns toward memory. Memory provides continuity when structure disappears. In the next chapter, we will examine how memory behaves at night and why memories often feel sharper, heavier, or more revealing after dark, even when they are not more accurate. Chapter 4. Memory replay is not memory accuracy. Memory is often mistaken for storage. In reality, memory is reconstruction. Each time a memory appears, it is reassembled from fragments, sensory impressions, emotional tone, and narrative meaning. At night, the conditions of reconstruction change. Fatigue reduces cognitive filtering. Silence increases internal focus. Emotion becomes a stronger organizing force. As a result, memories feel different. Why memories feel vivid after dark? Without external input, internal imagery intensifies. The mind fills the quiet with detail. Faces appear clearer. Voices sound closer. Scenes feel immersive. This vividness creates the illusion of accuracy, but vividness is not fidelity. A memory can feel precise while being incomplete, distorted, or selectively emphasized. Nighttime memory prioritizes emotional coherence, not factual precision. Emotional tagging and replay. Memories that surface at night are often emotionally tagged. They carry uncertainty, attachment, regret, anticipation. Emotion acts as a signal to the brain that a memory requires further integration. This does not mean something is unresolved in a practical sense. It means the experience has not yet been placed comfortably within the broader narrative of the self. Night provides a low-demand environment in which this placement can occur. Why memories feel personal and significant. During the day, identity is externally reinforced. Roles, interactions, and routines remind the mind who it is and what matters. At night, identity becomes internal. Memories are no longer counterbalanced by present moment feedback. They feel closer because they are no longer competing with the present. This intimacy can be mistaken for insight. But nighttime memory replay is not revelation. It is proximity, the danger of interpretation. Interpreting nighttime memories as messages gives them authority. The mind assumes that what appears in silence must matter deeply, but appearance does not equal importance. Memory emerges through association, not intention. One memory triggers another without conscious selection. The sequence feels meaningful because the mind seeks meaning, but meaning is constructed after the fact. Sorting, not rumination. There is a difference between rumination and sorting. Rumination is rigid and repetitive. Sorting is fluid and exploratory. Much nighttime memory replay resembles sorting. The mind moves between perspectives. It softens emotional edges. It tests interpretations. This process often resolves itself during sleep, even when sleep is light or fragmented. Memory replay explains what appears at night, but not why it feels emotionally amplified. In the next chapter, we will explore emotional amplification after dark, and why fatigue, stillness, and solitude intensify feeling without creating new emotion. Chapter 5. Emotional amplification after dark. Emotions do not intensify at night because new feelings appear. They intensify because regulation changes. During the day, emotional experience is continuously moderated. Movement dissipates tension. Conversation provides perspective. Attention is divided across tasks and stimuli. At night, these moderating forces recede. The body becomes still. The environment quiets. Attention turns inward. What remains is emotion without diffusion. Fatigue and emotional thresholds. Fatigue alters how emotions are experienced. As the brain tires, its ability to regulate emotional intensity softens. This does not create emotion. It reduces the mechanisms that usually contain it. A mild concern may feel weighty. A passing sadness may feel enduring. A vague anticipation may feel urgent. This shift is not cognitive distortion. It is physiological economy. The brain conserves energy by relaxing regulatory control. Stillness magnifies feeling. Movement is a form of emotional regulation. Walking, speaking, and interacting continuously recalibrate mood. At night, the body is still. Stillness removes an important outlet. Emotion that would normally dissipate through action remains present. This presence is often interpreted as escalation. In reality, it is undischarged intensity, why emotions attach to thoughts. At night, thoughts and emotions are less differentiated. A thought does not appear alone. It arrives with a tone. This tone is often mistaken for meaning. A thought paired with strong emotion feels significant. A thought paired with calm feels neutral. But emotion is not evidence. It is context-sensitive amplification. The pairing of thought and feeling at night reflects lowered separation, not increased truth. Solitude and emotional volume. Emotions are socially calibrated. During the day, expression is moderated by interaction. Even brief exchanges help regulate intensity. At night, social feedback disappears. Emotions exist without external reflection. This absence makes them feel larger. Not because they have grown, but because nothing mirrors them back. Why reassurance often fails at night? Reassurance relies on context. It requires perspective, comparison, and shared reality. At night, reassurance competes poorly with immediacy. This is why logical counterarguments rarely quiet nighttime emotion. The issue is not belief, it is state. When the state changes, emotion follows. Emotional amplification explains how thoughts feel heavier at night. But beneath emotion lies something older, a subtle alertness that predates modern life. In the next chapter, we will explore the evolutionary roots of nighttime vigilance and why the mind remains watchful even when nothing threatens. Chapter 6, Evolutionary Vigilance and the Quiet Watch. For most of human history, night was not a time of complete rest. It was a time of partial awareness. Sleep occurred in fragments. Waking moments were common. Listening mattered. This pattern shaped the nervous system. Night became associated with vulnerability. Not constant danger, but uncertainty. The mind adapted accordingly. The legacy of segmented sleep. Historical records suggest that uninterrupted 8-hour sleep is a relatively recent phenomenon. Earlier human sleep patterns were often biphasic or segmented. People slept, woke briefly, and slept again. These waking intervals were quiet and reflective. The mind learned to operate gently at night. Not fully alert, not fully asleep. This intermediate state remains embedded in human cognition. Vigilance without threat. Vigilance does not require danger. It requires uncertainty. At night, uncertainty increases naturally. Reduced visibility, reduced social presence, reduced sensory feedback. The brain responds by monitoring. In modern settings, there is little to monitor externally, so vigilance turns inward. Thoughts arise not as warnings, but as checks. Have things been handled? Is anything unresolved? Is there something to prepare for? These questions are not failures of calm. They are remnants of adaptive readiness. Why anticipation dominates night thought. Nighttime thoughts often lean toward the future. This is not optimism or pessimism. It is preparedness. The mind scans for potential outcomes because historically, night preceded morning action. This anticipatory bias persists even when action is unnecessary. The mind remains ready long after readiness is needed. Silence as a signal. Silence is not neutral to the nervous system. It signals a pause in environmental information. The brain responds by increasing sensitivity. This sensitivity makes subtle internal signals more noticeable. A small worry becomes audible. A faint memory becomes present. Silence does not create content. It reveals it, reframing vigilance. Nighttime vigilance is often mislabeled as anxiety. But anxiety implies misfiring. What occurs at night is often unassigned alertness. The system is active without a target. Understanding this removes the impulse to suppress. Alertness without threat resolves naturally. If vigilance explains why thoughts arise, it does not explain why they feel urgent. In the next chapter, we will examine why night thoughts demand attention and why this demand is more perceptual than real. Chapter 7. Why night thoughts feel urgent. At night, thoughts often arrive with force. They do not merely appear, they insist. Ideas feel complete, concerns feel immediate, decisions feel necessary. This sense of urgency is persuasive, but it is not reliable. Urgency is not a property of thought. It is a property of context, the collapse of temporal distance. During the day, time is structured. There are before and after markers: morning, afternoon, evening, tomorrow. These markers create distance between thought and action. At night, temporal structure softens. Tomorrow feels closer. The future feels imminent. The past feels unfinished. Without temporal distance, thoughts feel as though they require response now. But this is perceptual compression, not necessity. The mind experiences time differently when cues are absent. Isolation amplifies importance. Importance is often assigned through comparison. During the day, multiple concerns compete. They are ranked against each other. At night, a single thought may occupy the entire field of attention. With nothing else present, it feels dominant. This dominance is mistaken for importance, but importance requires contrast. A single voice in silence sounds loud, not because it is loud, but because it is alone. Emotional coupling and urgency. As explored earlier, emotional regulation softens at night. Emotion attaches more readily to thought. A neutral idea paired with emotion feels significant. A hypothetical scenario paired with anxiety feels real. Urgency emerges from this pairing. The mind interprets emotional intensity as a signal for action, but at night, emotion is amplified by state, not circumstance. Why solutions feel tempting. Urgency creates discomfort. The mind seeks relief. Decision-making promises closure. This is why people feel drawn to resolve issues at night, to send messages, make plans, or revisit decisions. The relief that follows is often mistaken for correctness. But the relief comes from ending the cycle, not from accuracy. Morning frequently brings a different evaluation, a gentle reframing. Urgent thoughts at night are not commands, they are sensations. They indicate heightened salience, not obligation. Recognizing urgency as a state effect allows it to pass without response. No resistance is required, only recognition. Urgency explains the pressure of nighttime thought. But another factor shapes how these thoughts feel: the absence of others. In the next chapter, we will explore how solitude changes the tone of thinking and why thoughts feel heavier when they are unshared. Chapter 8. The social mind in the absence of others. The human mind is not solitary by design. It evolved in social contexts. Thought is shaped by interaction, by expression, response, and shared reality. At night, this social framework disappears. What remains is private cognition, social calibration, and thought. During the day, thoughts are continuously calibrated. A concern is voiced and softened. An idea is shared and refined. A memory is contextualized through conversation. Even minimal interaction adjusts perspective. At night, this calibration is absent. Thoughts exist without social reference. They are neither confirmed nor corrected. This isolation intensifies their tone. Why thoughts feel heavier when unshared. A thought carried alone feels more substantial than one that is expressed. Expression distributes weight. Silence concentrates it. This is why nighttime concerns often feel personal and consuming. They exist without external reflection. The mind has no mirror. The loss of narrative correction. Stories told to oneself differ from stories told to others. In private, narratives can remain incomplete. They lack interruption. They lack alternative viewpoints. At night, the mind tells stories without challenge. These stories may feel coherent, but coherence does not equal accuracy. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Nighttime solitude is not inherently lonely, it is a natural state, but solitude alters cognition. Without social grounding, identity becomes inward-facing. Thoughts feel closer to the self. This proximity increases emotional intensity. Why listening helps. Listening to voices, stories, or steady sound reintroduces social presence without demand. It provides a shared rhythm. The mind no longer feels alone with its thoughts. This is why narration often feels calming at night. It restores social context without requiring participation. We have now explored cognitive shifts, attention drift, memory replay, and emotional amplification, vigilance, urgency, social absence. What remains is how to relate to nighttime thinking without effort. In the next chapter, we will explore letting thought pass without participation. The difference between noticing thought and following it. Chapter 9. Letting thought pass without participation. Thinking does not require effort. Participation does. At night, this distinction becomes clear. Thoughts arise on their own. They do not need encouragement. They do not ask for instruction. What sustains them is attention. Participation begins when attention follows thought, when it evaluates, extends, or rehearses. Observation does not. The difference between noticing and following. To notice a thought is simply to be aware that it is present. To follow a thought is to move with it, to ask where it leads, what it means, or what should be done. At night, following rarely produces clarity. It produces movement. Movement keeps the system active. Noticing allows movement to occur without momentum. Why effort prolongs wakefulness. Effort signals importance. When the mind attempts to manage thought, it interprets this as a task. Tasks reactivate alert systems. This is why trying to stop thinking often increases awareness of thought. The system responds to effort, not intention. Allowing thought without engagement communicates that nothing is required. The nervous system adjusts accordingly. Thought as background motion. Thought can be reframed as background motion, like waves on water, like wind through branches. These movements do not require response. They pass whether they are watched or not. Participation is optional. When participation withdraws, thought often softens, not immediately, not predictably, but reliably over time. No instruction is needed. This is not a technique. There is nothing to practice. Awareness already knows how to observe without effort. When effort drops, observation remains. This is why people often fall asleep while listening. Attention is occupied gently without being recruited for action. When thought is allowed to pass, nighttime thinking loses its grip. What remains is a state, not of silence, but of reduced demand. In the final chapter, we will step back and view nighttime thinking as a temporary landscape, one that naturally gives way to morning. Chapter 10. Nighttime thinking as a temporary landscape. Nighttime thinking does not define the mind. It does not reveal hidden truths. It does not predict the future. It reflects a state, a configuration of biology, environment, and fatigue. States change. What feels certain at night often feels distant by day. This is not inconsistency. It is context sensitivity, the return of structure. Morning restores light, movement, social presence, and temporal markers. With these come proportion and perspective. Thoughts redistribute themselves, concerns shrink or reframe. Memories lose intensity, urgency fades. This transition requires no effort. The mind recalibrates automatically. Why nothing needs to be carried forward. There is no obligation to remember nighttime thoughts. They do not need to be preserved or interpreted. They served their purpose by appearing. Many dissolve during sleep, others lose salience in daylight. What remains will reappear naturally when context returns. Night is a passage, not a problem. Nighttime thinking is not something to overcome. It is something to move through. Like dusk or dawn, it marks a transition between states. The mind shifts, wanders, and settles. Nothing needs to be forced. Thoughts will come. Some will linger. Some will pass quickly. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to resolve them. They will change on their own. If sleep arrives, let it come. If it does not, listening is enough. The night does not ask for clarity. It does not demand progress. It offers a different rhythm. By morning, the mind will shift again, and whatever felt loud in the dark will find its place in the light.